Now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Thank you so much for taking time. As always, I appreciate you. And karibu sana. Let's do this in the next few minutes and then we call it a time. Now, I am seeing two instances. Number one, Gen Z space is going to be hijacked in the negotiation or the dialogue table or the conversation table with the government. Because today, if you keenly followed how William Ruto met the religious leaders, in fact, not just religious leaders, the Catholic bishops, they are the religious leaders, right? But they are always very specific. They're the ones who are always running ahead of time when things have heated up and a conversation has started for us to have a dialogue. They always run and take opportunity while it is still lasting. So if we are not serious, if we are not careful, the space of Gen Zs in the negotiation table, in the conversation table, is going to be hijacked. And the President William Ruto knows it very well. He is always a player in that category. He knows how he can actually be ahead of other players, especially in the negotiation or conversations, what we call the dialogue table. He knows it. So if at this time, the lack of proper framework that Gen Zs can be represented on the negotiation table is going to persist, then definitely their space is going to be hijacked. That is one thing. The other thing, Gen Zs are going to be branded as the sacrificial lambs who only spearheaded revolution, carried it out, and brought us revolution as a country. Yet, their voice is not going to be heard on the negotiation table. Because at the end of the day, we must be very practical, all right? A section of them who wanted to be their leaders and give them directions, we saw what happened to Boniface Mwangi. They punched him on the face. In fact, Boniface Mwangi was just telling them, okay, let's just now go home. Okay, on Tuesday, you remember, he was punched to the face and they were telling him, you're not our leader. And the other time they were saying that even the civil societies are not our leaders. They are not representing them. So they do not have a representation. They do not have a face. And this is going to make other factions that William Ruto gave a nod to so that they come on the table to hijack them, which is a serious thing. And specifically when you talk of the religious leaders, they are always very greedy. We have always known them. You talk of the instances when Raila Odinga called for demos and things were heated in the country until we reach a point of, we now need to sit down as men and women of this country. They are always the first ones. Yet what you see or hear as the outcome from that discussion, it is not productive to everybody. It is not productive to the country. And that is the reason why you always see them. They meet the president and the president knows how to play with them the games, okay? And right now, they are the first who have run to meet the president. Such a serious one. We saw exactly what happened at Holy Family Basilica, all right? The cathedral. Ruto's men actually tear gassed everybody there, shot at people right inside the holy place of worship. Such a serious thing. And right now, they are the ones who have actually run to meet the president and to parade themselves as speaking for everybody. It is a trend that they have always said. It is a norm that they have always, treaded upon. They know exactly what they are doing. So this is going to take the space of Gen Zs and the millennials who actually came out to be the frontiers of what happened, the revolution that we now have. So those two things, if Gen Zs are not actually serious on them, perhaps we will say it is the order of the day. If you compare the religious leaders and, let's say, the civil societies, you make a comparison. Civil societies are always very cautious. Before they go for the negotiation or they attend a conversation, they must actually look at things deeply. They are not like the religious leaders. So that actually tells you that these religious leaders, the men in the gown, okay, the men in the white clothes, are there not for a bigger interest of everybody, but there is something that they are actually targeting. So I think maybe a structure needed to have been in place, a structure of who can actually direct Gen Zs, who can actually represent them on the table. Very, very much important. What we are seeing happening right now is that anybody who tries to come out and say that perhaps Gen Zs, let's do this in this way, they brand you as a traitor. Yesterday, when we saw the protests going on with a little bit lower intensity compared to what we saw on Tuesday, you see, there is something that is happening because of lack of leadership, lack of structure, lack of proper arrangement to continue whatever they started. And if we are not careful, Gen Zs will go back into oblivion. Like they will just be branded the sacrificial lambs who sacrificed for our country, and then their time was up. Perhaps, maybe, that is why God used them. It could be true that is why God used them. So that they just caused the revolution, they undertake it, they, champion for it, they accomplish it, and then they go back to their hideout. These young men, young women, young people really did one of the things which history shall write boldly in the books, and the world actually saw. They should not actually be neglected. They should not actually be supplanted in their space on the negotiation table. If there is a serious moment that we need a change, we need a fresh blood, we need a new dispensation, then I really think that we needed to have a leader of the Gen Zs actually to represent them in the negotiation. Because if at the end of the day we will go for negotiation, things will calm down, there will be no need for things to calm down, and then we do not air our voices and reason with the government so that the government takes into account what we want. If we don't go into that line, these other greedy factions will definitely take our space like they have just started. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think? Who is supposed to be Gen Z's leader? Or what do you think is the best structure that they need to operate with right now going forward? I think that would do as favor and justice, not to just try to fight out there and it just goes into oblivion like that, okay? The aftermath of everything, we are just tunazama tu tena hivyo. Haiwezekani hivyo, sisi tuko tu hapa, we are, really insightfully informing the country, and then it goes without recognition. I think there is a structure that is needed. Or what do you think? Let me hear from you. We'll connect later. Have a great moment.